Okay, folks. So I just want to let you know that today I'm going to do chapter 20, which is the chapter on consumer choice. And then I'm going to do chapter 19 next week, which is the chapter on elasticity. And also next week, I'm going to do a chapter on costs, but you will not be responsible for that on a test. So the chapter on production cost will not be included in test 1. Actually, that chapter will not be included in test 2 or in the final. However, we have to cover that chapter before we can do the chapters on perfect competition, monopoly, monopolistic competition, and oligopoly. So while the chapter itself is not going to be tested, all the other material will be based on the chapter on production costs. Okay, so now let's talk about chapter 20, which is consumer choice. That's chapter 20. And basically what I'm trying to do here is just to find a way of explaining how consumers make choices. So when we go to a Vaughn store, why do we pick whatever we pick? You know, what makes us come up with a certain bundle of goods out of that store? So how do we make our choices? And there are many views on how consumers make choices. And one of those is utility theory. Utility theory is attempting to explain how consumer makes choices, and that's what we're going to use in this class. It's going to be based on utility theory. After we take test 1, so after test 1, we're going to take a look at firms, how firms make choices, how firms decide how much to produce and how much to charge for their product. Well, and we're going to take a look at, well, what is the goal of a firm? And very simply, the goal of a firm is to maximize profit. Well, then what is going to be the goal of the consumer? Because the consumer doesn't make a profit, doesn't produce anything. So we as consumers, our goal from a utility point of view is to maximize our satisfaction. So why do we buy what we buy? Because it makes us the happiest. So given the amount of money that we have, we're going to spend the money in such a way that is going to maximize our total utility or is going to maximize satisfaction. So let me just say here that utility is the same as satisfaction. And the goal of the consumer is to maximize the amount of satisfaction. Okay, so that's what we're going to have to do. So there's going to be something called total utility. So let me write this down. The amount of satisfaction that we get from consuming a given basket of goods. And that's what we're trying to maximize here. We're trying to maximize the satisfaction. So what are we going to put in that basket of goods? We're going to put whatever is going to create the maximum total satisfaction. Obviously, we're going to have to be able to afford that basket of goods. But if we can afford it, whatever we are putting in that basket is going to make us the happiest. Now, I want to contrast the concept of total utility with another concept of marginal utility. Marginal utility is you look at one good at a time and look at the satisfaction that each individual good gives you. So like with total utility, you might look at how much satisfaction you're getting from 5 apples. With marginal utility, you're looking at how much satisfaction you're getting from the first apple, the second apple, the third apple, the fourth apple, the fifth apple. So you're looking at 1 unit at a time. Okay, that's marginal utility. Satisfaction from an additional unit. Okay. And let me just now show you the relationship between marginal utility and total utility, because obviously they are related. Well, let's suppose that I'm consuming pizzas. And I can eat 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And let's suppose that total utility, the satisfaction that I get from 0 pizza, obviously is going to be 0 units of satisfaction. And the total utility from 1 pizza is, let's say, 10 units of satisfaction. Now, when I say units of satisfaction, how much is a unit of satisfaction? I don't know, and I don't care. We made this up. So a unit of satisfaction, all I know is that 2 units of satisfaction is better than 1, and 1 is better than 0. So that's all I know. 5 is better than 4, and 4 is better than 3. That's all we know about units. So the more satisfaction, the higher the number, the less satisfaction, the lower the number. Okay, so I get 10 units of satisfaction. When I eat 2 slices, I get, let's say, 60 units of satisfaction. If I eat 3 slices, I'm going to have 18 units of satisfaction. And if I eat 4 slices, I'm going to have 15 units of satisfaction. Okay. Now let's take a look at marginal utility. How much each unit, how much each slice of pizza contributes in terms of satisfaction. So that's marginal utility. You're looking 1 unit at a time. It doesn't make sense to say how much did the 0th unit, 0th pizza contribute to satisfaction. So I'm going to draw a line because it doesn't make sense. But then I can certainly say how much did the first slice of pizza contribute to my satisfaction. Obviously, the answer is 10 units of satisfaction. Now, you see that when I eat 1 slice of pizza, I get 10 units of satisfaction. And if I eat 2 slices of pizza, I get 16 units of satisfaction. So that must be that the second slice of pizza contributed an additional 6 units of satisfaction. So the contribution of the second slice is 2, because when I eat those 2, the first 2 slices, I get 16 units. The first one contributed 10. That means that the second one must have contributed another 6. And obviously, if 2 slices give me 16 and 3 slices give me 18, that means that the third one contributed an additional 2 units of satisfaction. And now you notice that when I eat 4 slices of pizza, actually my satisfaction starts going down. What does it mean? It means that the 4th one, I was too full and I didn't enjoy it. It actually subtracted from my satisfaction. So now this one contributed actually minus 3 units of satisfaction. So kind of like made me nauseous. Okay, too much pizza. Okay. So this is, you see the relationship between total utility and marginal utility. As long as marginal utility is positive and going down, because you notice that it keeps going down, but as long as it's positive, total utility is gonna go up. Yeah, I'm adding smaller and smaller levels of satisfaction, but overall, the total satisfaction keeps on going up because I'm adding positive levels of satisfaction. It's when it starts going negative, that's when total utility starts going down. So as long as marginal utility is positive, total utility is going to go up. It's true that marginal utility tends to go down. So each additional, and it should make sense that when you're hungry, the first hamburger is going to be the best one. The second one, you may still be hungry and it still gives satisfaction, but not as much as the first one. And the third one, not as much as the second one, and so on. So that's why we have diminishing marginal utility. So you can see that we have diminishing marginal utility. And it makes sense that as I consume additional units and additional units, each unit contributes less and less and less to my satisfaction. Okay. All right, so the book shows an interesting example in applying thinking about marginal utility, how we can apply marginal utility to real life. And the example that they give is to look at, to contrast, to compare and contrast two types of vending machines. And one of them is a candy vending machine, and the other one is a newspaper vending machine. And they operate completely differently. They're not the same. With the candy vending machine, you put your money in, and then you click on a number, and the candy drops to the bottom of the machine, and you pick it up. Okay. With a newspaper vending machine, you put your money in, and then you open up the whole machine, and you have access to all the newspapers, and you're going to take one newspaper, you close the door, and you're done. Why doesn't the candy vending machine work on the same principle where you would put your money in, you would open up the door to all the candy, you take your candy out, and then you close the door? And to explain this, we used marginal utility. And using marginal utility, here's the explanation. With a newspaper vending machine, the marginal utility of the second, third, fourth, fifth, and so on newspapers, the marginal utility is zero. That's not the case with the candy vending machine. So all the other candies in the machine have positive marginal utility, so we would take it all. With newspaper, it makes absolutely no sense to take a second one or a third one or a fourth one. So they all have zero marginal utility. It's only the first newspaper that has positive marginal utility. Okay, okay, folks. So now let's take a look at an example, and I'm actually going to use the example that they have in the book. And I went to the PDF file, and I have an example where we're going to apply consumer maximization, the maximizing the utility based on this marginal utility. Okay, and we have two choices, and our choices is between music downloads, and the other one is cappuccinos. So think about it. We're going into a Vons store. We have a cart that it's completely empty, and then we have to decide how many music downloads and how many cappuccinos I'm gonna have to maximize my total utility. So I'm gonna put up the same table that they have in the book. And it's 0 through 5. And then they tell us how much satisfaction we're getting from consuming those various quantities of music download. So it's 0, 50, total utility, 0, 50, 95, 135, 171.5, and 200. And then we're going to take a look at cappuccinos. And we have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And they also tell us the satisfaction that we get from those cappuccinos is going to be 0, 25, 47, 65, 80, and 89. Now, if I was to give you this problem just like this, this is the only information that I will give you. And if I was to ask, well, how many cappuccinos and how many music downloads would this person get in order to maximize their total utility? Okay. Well, then the problem would be very, very simple. You would say, well, the person should get 5 and 5, because I can assure you there is no other combination other than 5 and 5 that will give you more than 289 units of satisfaction. There's no other combination. But this is kind of a little bit like me saying to you, well, you go into a Best Buy and take anything and everything that you want out of that Best Buy that will maximize your satisfaction. Well, what are you gonna do? You're gonna take everything out of that Best Buy. Okay. When we go shopping, we cannot take everything out of the store. Okay. We gotta make decisions. And those decisions are based on how much money we have in our pocket. So how much money I have, and what is the price of those products. So it's not that we can take everything out of the store, because we have to make a decision. Well, I have only so much money and those goods cost so much. So it depends on income and prices. So I have to give you, in this problem, I have to give you the price of a music download, the price of a cappuccino, and then also how much money I have. And my income, it turns out to be $26. The price of a movie, of a music, $5. And the price of a cappuccino, $3. Okay, so now I can take a look at how much cappuccino and how many music downloads do I need to buy in order to make myself the happiest. Okay, I'm gonna do it step by step, but there is a shortcut. There is a shortcut in all those problems, and I'm gonna show you the shortcut. Because at this point, I'm going to tell you that in order for the consumer to achieve the consumer optimum, to maximize the satisfaction, all this money that they have has to be spent. Okay. You cannot spend any more because you don't have it, and you cannot spend any less because that money that you did not spend doesn't add up to even more satisfaction. So you have to spend the whole amount that you have. And I'm going to get back to this in a few minutes. Okay. So you have to spend the full amount. It's got to be spent $26. I have to spend $26. I cannot spend less than $26 because the money that I'm not spending is not adding up to my satisfaction. So I haven't maximized my satisfaction. And I cannot spend more because I just don't have more than $26. So I have to spend the full $26. And because of that, those type of problems can be solved very easily. In this case, you have to be able to spend $26. Guess what, folks? You already know what is the combination of music downloads and cappuccinos that is going to make me the happiest. You know that because there is only one way that you can spend $26. And obviously, the only way that we can spend $26 is by buying 4 music downloads and 2 cappuccinos. There is no other combination that would exhaust that income of $26. So we already know the answer to the problem. So if the problem says, well, what is the consumer optimum? What's the combination that ensures consumer optimum? In this case, you would say immediately, it's got to be 4 music downloads and 2 cappuccinos, and you have the correct answer. Now, in real life, this would not work quite so easily. Imagine you go into a Vons store with $100. That's your income. And there are many ways of exhausting that $100 in a Vons store. You could put a cart full of chewing gum, or a cart full, some chewing gum, some milk, some bread, and some this and some that. So there would be many combinations that would exhaust that $100. So in real life, it's not that there's only one way that you can spend that $26. Obviously, if we had a ton more goods, then there would be a lot of combinations that would exhaust that $26. And what would you would have to do then is to calculate the total utility from each and every one of those possible combinations, and then pick the one that has the highest total utility. And that will give you the maximum satisfaction. Well, in our problems, we're not going to deal with many goods. We're only going to deal with 2 goods. And we're going to do it a little bit one at a time. So let me show you what the explanation is for how we shop. We go into the Vons store. We have a cart that is completely empty. And I have $26 in my pocket. Well, what should I get? What should I put first in my cart? Should I put the first music download, or should I put the first cappuccino? Notice that the first music download gives me 50 units of satisfaction, while the first cappuccino gives me only 25 units of satisfaction. So one may be tempted to say, well, you're going to go with the one that gives you the most. So let me write down how much each music download and how much each cappuccino will contribute to my satisfaction. So I have to write down the marginal utility. $50, $45, $40, $35, $36.5, and $28.5. Okay, I got to do the same thing for cappuccinos. Marginal utility. Blank, 25, 22, 18, 15, and 9. Okay. You see where I get those numbers. The first one, that if 2 of them are 47 and only 1 is 25, that means that the second one contributed the difference, or 22, and so on. Okay, now we're deciding, should I put the first cappuccino or the first music download? Well, we still have a problem, because it looks like the first music download is a lot more satisfying than the first cappuccino. But folks, it's not fair to compare just how much satisfaction I get from the first music versus the first cappuccino. Because think about it. If you go into a Vons store and you're thinking, well, I want to get something to eat. What do I have? I have the choice between a ribeye or a hot dog. Well, ribeye will give you a lot more satisfaction than the hot dog. But guess what? Sometimes we get the hot dogs. How come? Because the hot dog is a lot cheaper. So it's not fair to look or the first music download. What I have to do is how much satisfaction I'm getting per dollar. Okay? How much satisfaction per dollar I'm getting from the first cappuccino, the second cappuccino, the third cappuccino, the first music download, the second music. So to get satisfaction per dollar, I have to divide this satisfaction from each unit, but I gotta divide it by the price. And in this case, the price of a music download is 5. So I have to do marginal utility divided by the price of music is equal to 50 divided by 5 is 10. 45 divided by 5, 9. 8. This one is 7.3. And this one is, I think it's 5.7. But yeah, 5.7. So here we're looking at how much bang per buck I'm getting from the first music, the second music, the third music. And then I have to do the same for the cappuccinos. How much bang per buck am I getting? So marginal utility per divided by the price of cappuccino is going to be 25 divided by $3 is 8.3, 7.3, 6, 5, 3. So we divided the column that's marginal utility, we divided by the price, which is $3. And now we have bang per buck from music downloads and bang per buck from cappuccinos. So now it's fair to compare. So again, I have that cart and I'm going shopping. When I go shopping, what am I going to put first in my cart? The first music download or the first cappuccino? The first music download gives me 10 units of satisfaction per dollar, while the first cappuccino 8.3. So obviously I'm going to put the first music download in my cart. Since I still have money, I keep on shopping. Now the choice is between the second music download, which gives me 9 units of satisfaction per dollar, versus the first cappuccino, which gives me 8.3. So obviously I'm going to put the second music download in my cart. Since I still have money left, I keep on shopping. Now the choice is between the third music download, which gives me 8, versus the first cappuccino, which gives me 8.3. Obviously, I'm going to put the first cappuccino in my cart. So now, since I still have money left, I have to choose between the third music download or the second cappuccino. Well, the third music download is 8. The second cappuccino is 7.3. So I'm going to put the third music download in my cart. Since I still have money left, I keep on shopping. Now the choice is between the fourth music download or the second cappuccino. The fourth music download gives me 7.3 units of satisfaction per dollar. The second cappuccino gives me 7.3 units of satisfaction. I'm indifferent at this point. It doesn't matter which one you're going to put in your cart. So you just pick one, either the second cappuccino or the fourth. It doesn't matter. Let's say you put the second cappuccino in your cart. You still have money left. You keep on shopping. You have the choice between the fourth music download or the third cappuccino. So fourth one gives you 7.3. The third cappuccino gives you 6. Obviously, you're going to put the fourth music download in your cart. And guess what? You're out of money. And you're out of money. You have achieved now the consumer optimum. And the answer is 4 and 2 cappuccinos. And notice another thing. That the bang per buck on the last music download is exactly the same as the bang per buck on the last cappuccino. That is the second condition for consumer optimum. So the bang per buck on the last unit of X has to be equal to the bang per buck on the last unit of Y. If you don't have that situation, you have not maximized your total utility. You have not maximized your satisfaction. All those problems will be made in such a way that when you are done shopping, when you've spent all your money, you're going to have that the bang per buck on the last unit of X will be equal to the bang per buck on the last unit of Y. So I'm gonna write down those two conditions for consumer optimum. One, all income is spent. Two, marginal utility per dollar on X has to be equal to marginal utility per dollar on Y. In other words, on the last unit of X, you're going to get just as much satisfaction per dollar as on the last unit of Y. Okay. Questions? Were you comfortable with that table and how I picked one at a time? Anybody? Give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down.
Oh, I don't know how to do that. Okay, thumbs up.
Okay, so it made, so basically it's like a computer where we're instantly, almost instantly, if you will, we're making a decision at what is more worthwhile to me. And that's what I'm going to pick. In our heads, we make those decisions, you know, not like here on the board, you know, but we make those decisions instantaneously, you know. It's very, very fast. What is more worth it to me? Okay. And we take into account the prices of the goods. We are not independent of those prices. We automatically assimilate those prices in our decisions. Okay, let me stop the recording.